You know it's gonna be a hot and sticky one when it's already September and it's aircon time in Queensland. Hello, my name is Indy and today I am here to talk VidCon Australia 2018. So the first weekend of September I went to Melbourne for VidCon Australia 2018. This is the second time VidCon has come to Australia. I was lucky enough to go to the 2017 one, which I didn't actually do anything about because as soon as I got back last year from VidCon, I had friends coming for Ariana Grande in Brisbane where I lived at the time, and I had about 20 assignments due in the next couple months. So I bitch didn't do anything. I just did like one little Instagram last year, but I had such an amazing time in 2017. I met lots of booktubers there. I'm not gonna really talk about it too much because I mean we want to talk about this year, obviously. But I really enjoyed last year as well. This year felt a bit different from the first year, so I do want to quickly talk about that. I feel like the first year, maybe because I really didn't know what I was in for, but I found security both this year and last year slack as hell. Like, I don't mind, but I mean, just considering how tough they are in America, I mean, I know there's a lot more influencers and a lot more people going, like 30,000 people in comparison to what, like maybe a couple thousand in Australia. I understand there's a big difference in that, but I feel like they just don't care. Like, my mum comes with me on these trips. She just walks in and comes in with me. I mean, she doesn't go into the rooms necessarily, but the general community track, she could honestly probably like do some of the things. Probably not go into panels and things, but she can go into like the main floor where they sell merch and they have other things. Like, she came in with me, like, it was so chill. So that's one thing I have noticed in comparison from last year to this year. Another thing was that I felt like it was a bit more business focused this time. I mean, I'm not sure if that's just particularly because I chose to go to more of those panels than more of the community track where we got to see Q&As like for like big American YouTubers that they've brought out here. But I just felt like the panels that I went to Creator was so much more in depth. We had not just like a panel of people talking about their experiences in this situation. We had people that do this for a job, like they have channels, but they also are like actual speakers. Like, so it was a very sort of serious, especially this year in particular. When I feel like I went to VidCon and I've told people about it, I felt like I was going to a business convention. I wasn't feeling like I should say like, oh yeah, I went to VidCon, it was so much fun. Obviously it was, but I was thinking of it more of like a work standpoint. Even though I don't do YouTube as a job, it felt like I was going to learn and to better myself, and as if I was making a career out of this. So that was the interesting turning point I noticed this year in particular. Again, it's sort of a weird convention, and I saw Jane from Yes Miss Jane, her channel. I'll link her video down below. She talked about VidCon as well. She did talk about it being a weird convention, sort of Comic-Con, but like a business side thing, and I agree with that. It's a weird place. Especially, I find myself a little weirded out when I go to the community track things where I go and see like, you know, Safia and Tyler do a Q&A, and then I go to these ones talking about like how to use your camera with like iOS and aperture, and like it's just, they're different worlds completely in this one place. And like even when you go into the place where the meet and greets are, it's like sort of just off to the side. Like, I know in America like meet and greet is like the biggest thing ever, but I feel like it was really just over there. Like, we had stuff you could sign, a couple little bits of merch you could buy. It's a really weird place. I mean, I'm still gonna go and I enjoy it, but it's just so different to the ideals you get from looking at the American VidCon, I guess, is what I'm saying. The last thing I'm going to compare before jumping into the things I did at VidCon 2018 is the lovely little books we have here. So this is year one. This was the sort of, I guess, mild Australiana style of book. This one was very focused, yes, on like Gigi Gorgeous, even though she didn't come here. And last year, all around Melbourne, there were posters for Escape the Night Season 2, and like a lot of these people did come, kind of. But like, I don't know, I feel like last year it was so publicized in comparison to this year. I feel like I didn't see anything until I rocked up at the convention and there was like one big sign above the main door, and I was like, yay. But I noticed in this year's like agenda, itinerary, whatever you want to call it, it's very Australiana themed. And I bought the poster because like it's now a tradition I'm making to buy the poster. It had a koala on it holding a camera, so I mean similar concept, I guess. And the other difference is the badges as well. This is year one, so I think that this was quite a copy from just like the American one because it was their first year, understandable. And then this year we went a bit more, again, Australian with like the boomerang and like the drawings, and I don't know, I assume that's supposed to be some sort of bridge in Melbourne because I know Melbourne so well, you know. So I did find that interesting that we're influenced a bit more with the culture, and we had a lot more sponsors this time. I didn't just get like a VidCon thing, I got a black magic design. I did notice there were a lot more sponsor things, like even when you went to particular panels and things, it says sponsored by so-and-so. So that was interesting to see that I guess there's been more generated support from the first year. So the first thing I went to this year was Safia and Tyler, their Q&A session in the community track. That was just a lot of fun. I wanted to go along and just see some YouTubers that I don't really watch them a lot, but I know of them and have seen them and things, so I thought that was just going to be a fun one to start on, and it ended up being a huge conversation about koalas have chlamydia, we have scary ass animals here, bin chickens, which is ibises, which I didn't even understand at first when people were like, bin chickens, I was like, I don't know what that is, but as soon as someone said ibis, I was like, right. Talking about the seasons, because their seasons change on the 22nd of every like 3 months, and I was like, that's wild. We're talking about Halloween, we were talking about that it's like autumn is not the word fall. It was just like a whole big like, let's talk about the differences between America and Australia, and it was fabulous. So I really enjoyed that section. The second thing I went to was in the creator track, and that was talking about shooting videos in auto or manual and how to use your camera essentially. So don't shoot in auto. I'm just gonna check if I'm shooting in auto right now. Your girl is shooting in auto. I should know better by now, but I still don't really understand my camera. That was a really informative. I have so many notes from what different things mean, because I never knew what iOS and aperture and all that stuff meant, like shutter speed. So I have a greater understanding of that now. So, you know, after this video, I'm gonna try shooting in manual and not auto. After that one, I sort of dipped out a bit early and I went to one about earning more money and growing a stronger community. I only saw about 10 minutes of it because that one finished early as well. So that was a little interesting. I don't really remember what happened. It was more so talking a lot about using like IGTV and Facebook Watch, which is apparently a thing that I learned that came out while I was at VidCon. So it was talking about building a community on different platforms, obviously, and integrating into the new system. So I mean, that one didn't really speak to me too much, but it was still interesting. Then the next one I went to after that was going back to the community track, and I saw Liza Koshy and Kristen McCat. They are from David's vlog, so I was already just like, I'm ready. I saw Liza last year and I loved it so much. So that was just like a lot of fun, and I did like Instagram story a little bit of that. So that was, again, just like another fun one to go to just break up the day. And the final session on the Saturday I went to was talking about Instagram and Facebook and the best practices to do them. And that one wasn't as good as I was expecting it to be. I thought it was going to be a lot more just about like, you know, when to post in the day, how many posts to do a day, what sort of maybe if doing a theme or something is important. And again, on Facebook, just in general how to use Facebook better, because I don't really know how to use it. I don't use it for my YouTube channel. I obviously do use it for my Indies Embellished Books project, but I just wanted to know more about that, and it ended up just being all about using IGTV and Facebook Watch, which is essentially creating another video on a different platform. So I mean, it was still interesting, but it was definitely not what I was expecting to get out of that panel, so it was a little disappointing, but still very interesting overall. So Sunday morning I had planned to go to like how to combat burnout session in the creator track. I walked into the room and it was about to start in 5 minutes, and there was 2 other people in the room, and I was like, well, this is uncomfortable. So I dipped out just across the hallway to the community track, and they had pretty much the same thing going on with a lot of American big YouTubers that I did want to see, like Hannah Hart. You ready to do it all? Woo! So I thought, well, it's the same general topic. There was a lot more people in there, and there was like a whole bunch of people that I really wanted to see. So I really enjoyed going to that one. Didn't really talk about doing it all necessarily. It was more sort of just them having a chat, but I really enjoyed it overall. My second panel for the day was talking about thumbnails and what makes a good thumbnail. That one was a very intense situation as well. It was more of a businessy person giving a spiel about that sort of stuff. I really did enjoy it. I just found it difficult to relate it related to the booktubing aspect. I understood everything he said and everything that he showed and demonstrated made sense and went with a lot of big YouTubers' styles, but I found that I couldn't really relate it too much to the booktube community because we have sort of this, I don't want to say structure of how we do our thumbnails, but I mean, we kind of do, you know, you're always holding some books and generally people have a title saying if it's like a tag or something, and he was saying like don't necessarily do words, or you know, he had a lot of things that I just didn't think I could relate to my thumbnails necessarily, so I'm going to try and take away what I can from that. But that one was very, yes, in-depth and quite serious. He was trying to make jokes, but he was a very serious dude, so it was kind of scary. I was like, if I say anything, he's gonna burn me. So that was an interesting time. And luckily, but sadly, it was lastly, the thing that I was looking forward to the entire time for going to VidCon this year was the booktube meetup. Last thing I got to go to because I had to rush off for my flight. That finished at 2 o'clock, that booktube meetup. I had a flight out of the airport at 4 p.m. so a bitch had to rush. But I had such a good time. I saw lots of the people that I met last year, so that was like amazing, and I got to meet a whole bunch of new people. I just wish I had more time to network and speak to people because I didn't have a lot of time there and I was quite stressed about having to leave on time. So that was disappointing, but I met a whole bunch of people. I want to thank Kat from Stars and Embers for setting up this whole meetup. Like, we had a little room, we had lollies, we had notepads to write stuff down, and she also set up for a few publishers to send a few books to us. She wrapped them up all really cute. So this one says, "Congrats, I hope you like this book," and this is Love Cat. So I haven't unwrapped it yet because I've been waiting to film this video, and I also did an Instagram recently as well of this book. I've been looking to get this book for so long. I saw the table of books and the first thing that I saw was 2 books. I think it's Scythe and Thunderbird, something along those lines. I'll put the picture here. You'll know what books they are. But Grace from G Swizzle Books grabbed it and she was like hovering over it for a second. I was like, don't take it, don't take it. And she was like, I'm gonna have this one. And I was like, oh. But love you, Grace. I'm happy you got them. And I happened to see this one further along the table and I was like, I've been looking at getting this. I mean, I probably wasn't ever gonna buy it myself because I was like, I don't really know if I'm gonna read it. I'm not sure if I'm actually ever gonna get it. But I saw it there and I was like, that's it, I'm getting it. I'm like, it's mine now. So I'm so excited to have this one. I think there's a few other ones that I knew on the table, not too many. The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. It was the nice hardcover edition. I was like, someone please take that because I loved that book. I mean, I would get that if I hadn't already got it / read it, but that was a really good one. The one thing I found really funny about the table of books though, there was a few YouTuber books like Joey Graceffa, Grace Helbig, I think maybe Tyler Oakley, and like none of us rushed to get them. We're all like, give us the real books, honey. But that was just the funniest thing I noticed, like straight out the gate. Everyone was like, nope, nope, real books, thank you. But yeah, I had a really good time in Melbourne this time. I had a little bit more time before to do a bit of sightseeing while I was there. I went to the Queen Victoria markets. I went for a really nice Italian dinner with my mum on the Saturday night. So I overall really enjoyed my time there. I didn't really vlog except for this one little lovely clip, clip here that I will insert, but I was so scared because the security guard was like watching me as I went up the escalators, so I was so uncomfortable. And I also filmed me going into a room, which was the room that I swapped out of because there was only 2 other people in there. So, I mean, this footage low-key really sucks, but here you go. Wow, wasn't that a masterpiece? I need to learn to film at these places. I just don't feel comfortable because I'm by myself and I don't know anyone. And I honestly didn't speak to anyone like the whole weekend until I got to the booktube meetup. Like, I was just like too scared to speak to anyone. But I really got some cool photos. I put them on my Instagrams, so go and check those out because they were just really cool. Although the lighting was really sucky, even though it was meant to be taking photos. I was like, why would you do this lighting? But anyway, I'm gonna put that bit to rest. But I think that's it for everything I wanted to talk about VidCon. There were some differences to last year, good and bad, and I don't know, it was just so exciting to be back. Like, I'm hoping again next year I'm gonna be doing more videos, because I felt a bit bad about going to VidCon last year and this year and not really doing a lot of YouTube anymore. And I did talk about that recently in one of my videos about I have a different project and a different, I don't know, way of life now. I wish this was a thing a couple years ago when I was like really into booktubing, and I haven't really been a lot recently, so I'm just not sure. Obviously it was an inspiring time to go to VidCon and be like, right, I'm gonna do so much better. But it's hard when you get back to actual life to be like, I'm gonna do better. So I mean, it's always inspiring to go to VidCon. I also feel bad, obviously, but I don't know, I'm hoping to see it grow and develop and change over the next year, or if it's coming back next year, and I hope that there is a sort of bigger and better booktube meetup in future. That would be amazing, but I mean, I'm happy with what we had, and it was so great to meet all of you if you're watching out there. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!